Well, let's talk about the first half of the season. What is up, fans? Yesterday was rough. I am recording this at night, Sunday night. It's early Monday morning. I don't sleep. It is currently 1:30 in the morning. Fun fact, I left my window open because while I was recording the live stream, it was hot as anything in here. I'm gonna put my seat up a little bit. And when I came down here, being that it's right now in New Jersey, it is 37 degrees outside. It was cold in here, so I had to put my hoodie on. So the whole point of this video was we're going to look at the first half of the season. Failure. I'm just going to, beat you to the punch. Absolute failure. We're going to look at the first half of the season. We're going to look at where we are statistically. Now, some stats haven't come fully out. I'll give you a rough idea, though. We will look at what Mike McDaniel and Tua Tagovailoa said yesterday and in their presser, and then we'll try to predict what's going to happen for the second half of the season. So let's kind of jump into, let's kind of talk about yesterday just a scotch before we go into the first half of the season. Now, yesterday to me, the reason the Dolphins lost was the defense. Did Tua absolve himself? Does Tua deserve some blame? Of course. He's the quarterback. There were some situations where he could have stepped up, did a little bit better, but Tua was not the reason they lost yesterday, even though a lot of people want to put that loss completely on Tua Tagovailoa. I disagree wholeheartedly. And people want to talk about the safety, right? The snap. It was a quick snap. Boom, flew off his hands. Again, like I said in the live stream, regardless of how fast the snap came or whatever, you got to grab it, bring it down, do whatever you got to do. Gave up 2 points, right? And you think to yourself, Doug, we lost by 2. There is your 2 points. Well, to said person, we left the field up 9. And they scored a touchdown on the next drive from their own 30. They went 10 plays, 70 yards in 3 minutes, 35 seconds. And then we punted. And that punt was the series, and I'll break it down in the film tomorrow. I hope you do watch it. That punt was the series where, the first down was converted, yada, yada. And, then it was like horrible 3-play call after that. Like we stopped running the ball when we should have ran the ball because we had the lead by 2 and we should have converted or lead by 1, whatever. 2. And then they ended up kicking the field goal. Started at their own 11. They started at their own 11 and went 83 yards in 14 plays and ate up 5 minutes of the clock. That's on the defense, guys. Like, come on. Especially that second and long where second and 15, they convert 18-yard pass just by throwing up a prayer. That's on the defense, guys. I understand that you want to put everything on Tua because Tua is the quarterback, and I get it, but that's on the defense. But I digress. I just wanted to talk about yesterday. But before we really do get into the meat and potatoes of everything, I do have to shout out a few people. Yes, people. Members. I got a whole lot of new members. I got to shout out Chris Davis, La Rosa, Pierre Luc Lasella, Kristen Reinhardt, Hahano, Cav Scout 86, Van Dawson, Crazy Games, like that name, Aiden Haywood, Shane Adsit, Kickback, Pedro Ferris, Nostradad we got more. Uncle Grandpa, Wendell Goodman, Mark Chubik, Gregory McLean II, Florida Boy 1925, NJ Fins 3153, Troy McLeod, at Mal B Crazy, Santonio, Fins Football Podcast, Fins Up, Mimi, and Little Martin. Now, some of those guys were gifted subs today, and You are all amazing for being members. If you could tell next to their names, they have these little icons, and then you see these icons are a little different. They've been members for longer. Members do also get a ton of perks on the live stream. Members get the special videos and everything. Then you also have the new Patreons in Orlando Marvin, Rick, Kristen Reinhardt, Lewis Suarez, Carlos Blanco, Kevin Clement, TJ, William Garcia, Joel Mendoza, cryptocurrencyattorney.com, Fins Miami, and Phil Jones. You guys already have a new video to go check out over there. I might have another one for you guys this week. I got a text message saying people were not very happy in the locker room, so you can check that out. But don't feel like you need to. These are just fantastic people that are join the membership in the Patreon, and I love them more than anything. All I care about is watching these videos. Comment below, hit the subscribe button if you like what you see, and hit that thumbs up. I'm more wanting to get your interaction. So yeah, like yesterday, like I said, yesterday the offense was moving the ball. You know, every quarter they scored. Every quarter. The first quarter, they score 10 points. The second quarter, they score 3 points. The third quarter, they score 7 points. And the fourth quarter, they score 7 points. So, like, every quarter of the game, they scored points. It was the defense just couldn't stop. Just couldn't stop them. We'll look at that in the film breakdown. But let's kind of get into the first half of the season and my thoughts on the first half of the season. So, as of right now, again, these are going to update. But as of right now, the offense is 32nd without the updates, 32nd in points, 22nd in yards, 27th in passing, 11th in rushing. Those are probably going to go up a little bit, but not much. It definitely helps scoring 27 points. Defensively, they were 14th in points, 4th in yards, 1st in passing, that changed, and 17th in rushing. They shut down the Cardinals' run game. James Conner did not go off. He had like 2.1 yards a carry yesterday, so that helped. But their number one passing definitely had a lot to do probably with facing bad quarterbacks. But the problem is, looking at the first half of the season, is defensively. Now, defensively, like I said, they did what they could, but as a team, we're sitting at 9 sacks on the season. 9. 2 by Emmanuel Ogbah, 2 by Calais Campbell, 2 by Sealer, 1 by Brooks, 1 by Deshaun Hand, and 1 by Jalen Phillips. When it comes to interceptions, we only have 3 on the season. 1 from Emmanuel Ogbah, 1 from Zach Sealer, and 1 from Kader Kohu. That's bad. That's not going to, we faced an offense where you have to take down this small, scrappy quarterback, and we couldn't do it because we get no pressure. That's a problem. And we're going to talk about that because we're going to talk about things that have changed and how it hasn't worked. But let's kind of also go into what else. What else is a positive I can come off of? Third downs. We were number 1 in the NFL in third downs on defense, 12th on fourth downs, 20th in red zone. Our red zone offense will definitely go up. We were, like I said, we scored 27 points, 3 touchdowns, and our third down percentage will probably go up as well because we were 27th on offense. I feel like those will shift when all the stats come in. It normally takes Pro Football Reference about a day and a half to get those in, so probably later today those will be updated. But we're sitting right now at 2-5. 2-5 we're sitting at. So before I get into more about the first half of the season, I kind of want to go over what McDaniel and Tua said after the loss. So on blowing a 10-point second half lead, it's frustrating. We had every chance to win. Collectively, we always play really hard. I thought there were better executions, but there were critical mistakes that were tough to overcome. One of the strong games I've seen by a quarterback in Kyler Murray. You can't get pressure, you can't tackle. Plain and simple. Marcus May, I'm going to show you on that film breakdown. He said Dolphin players have been all in on winning, and falling short is hard for everyone. There are no silver linings in this loss. It's testing us for sure. I feel good about the human beings we have. It still hasn't been enough. It will be a pretty rough Monday of film review. We have to fix it. We get what we deserve. It wasn't clean enough for me. That's the biggest takeaway for me. And how many days have you said this? And how many days have you fixed it? No team gives a shit about our problems. No opponent the rest of the year will give a shit. And I love that he says that. Now, normally McDaniel comes out and he mumbles and he says like, oh, we have faced adversity, your strength and this and that. I love that he came out and said, no team is going to give a shit about our problems. No opponent the rest of the year will give a shit. They won't. You have no pass rush. Your opposing team doesn't care. You can't make tackles. Your opponent team doesn't care. Your secondary blows coverage and leaves guys butt naked open. The next opponent, especially the Buffalo Bills. I'm going to give you a little spoiler. My Friday preview, this Friday, my preview for this Dolphin Bills game, I'm predicting the Dolphins lose this game 40-20. We're going to get destroyed. We are not winning this game. From the offense that I saw today, there's a chance. If we had any better defense, if our defense could have stopped an inferior quarterback in Kyler Murray versus Josh Allen we're going to face. I have no qualms that Coleman will be open, Amari Cooper's going to be open, Austin Kincaid's going to be open. We cannot cover anything. So 40-20. And that's probably because they'll start running the ball. They'll feel bad for us. At starting 2-5, it's rough, McDaniel says, but in any NFL season, you can't take what your record is at this stage and extrapolate. Again, I'll say this. They ain't doing it, but season not over technically from a statistics standpoint. We saw a ton of teams, especially the Green Bay Packers last year, go from 2-5 and making the playoffs. We haven't moved when it comes to where we're at in the playoff rankings. We're number 10. We haven't moved up or down. We're staying right there at number 10. Jets, on the other hand, dropped. A lot of teams have dropped. Dolphins, staying there at number 10. What are you going to do? What are you going to do? On the defensive strategy against Arizona and Murray, you try to be effective in rush lanes. I did agree with our game plan going into it. I did put a high priority on guys that are free and have a shot at the quarterback. You have to rely on your technique and fundamentals on the guy like that. Guys were in position to make plays, and they were critical ones we didn't make. Miami held Arizona 3.2 yards per carry and allowed 307 yards through the air and didn't have a sack. Again, our run defense stopped them. My biggest fear was we're not going to be able to stop them from running. We stopped them from running. What happened was you have to blitz. There's so many times we blitzed Jalen Ramsey. There's so many times we blitzed Jordan Brooks. We kept having to blitz guys because we couldn't get an organic pass rush from our front four. And if you can't get an organic pass rush, all of a sudden Kyler Murray's going to have time in the pocket. Then he's going to start running around, and then plays are going to break down, and he's going to throw the ball. That's exactly what happened on defense. Also mismatches. Why was Cam Smith on Harrison Jr. at all? Makes no sense. On the offensive, playing better, kind of what I expected. We did a really good job on third downs. It was more of our brand of football that we'd probably be a silver lining if we weren't setting at 2-5. Yes, I agree. On the botch center quarterback exchange that led to a safety to cut Miami's lead to 20-12, Aaron Brewer would say he should have taken a little steam off of it. Tua said he should have caught it. Again, both guys' fault. On Tua's first game back, he knew his teammates were going to give him a chance to play a pretty clean game. For the most part, he had a clean pocket. When he didn't, he was decisive and kept himself out of harm's way, 100%. Regarding Tua's sliding for a first down at scramble, McDaniel said, when he's mindful and not trying to run defenders over, he's generally able to stay pretty healthy. Yeah. He said Javon Holland's knee injury didn't seem significant, but I would be taking it ignorantly if I forecasted anything. I found out more on Monday. And then McDaniel said he doesn't expect Sealer to be sidelined too long with his fracture orbital bone. McDaniel said he doesn't know if surgery will be needed. Tua Tagovailoa, who went 28 for 38 for 234 yards and 97.1 passer rating in his first game since coming off the injury reserve, said the crowd reaction to him sliding was super cool. He said he's not trying to be a hero. I think we were all happy about that. He said we are too talented to not end drives with points. What What can we do to get better? It takes everyone in the locker room to get where we want to go. It felt normal coming out there. Tua indicated that the offense felt helpless watching the Cardinals run out the clock before the game-winning field goal at the gun. 5 minutes. Your defense gave up 5-minute play, a drive. 5 minutes. Started at their own 11. Again, not saying Tua and the offense is absolved of blame for this game, but we put them at their 11. They had a 2nd and 15 that they converted. They had the ball for 5 minutes. That's the reason you lost the game. Yeah. Talking about the botch snap, he said, I got to catch the ball. On falling to 2-5, there's always time, brother. 17 games is a lot. Whether we're counted out or not, we're going to continue to play. No matter how many years you go, we started 1-7 and didn't have half the talent that this team has. We won 7 in a row. Not going to say we're going to do that, but anything is possible. He ain't wrong. During the 2021 season, the Dolphins started at 1-7, then won 7 in a row and finished 9-8. He ain't wrong. But from what I saw on the field today, it ain't happening. In Buffalo, which he has won 12 of the last 13 games against Miami, we got to beat them. Yeah, we got to beat them. 12 of the last 13. They're flipping one. More reaction. Tyreek Hill, that stinks, man. Every time we lose in the league, it stinks. They were a good football team, but at the end of the day, we're obviously a better football team. No, you're not. You lost. We've just got to put it on tape as a team, not just one player. Everybody has to go and play for each other. Player for your brother. Play for your brother. At the end of the day, it's got to mean something to you, bro. It's got to. It's got to. Calais Campbell on the Dolphins playing without several top defenders. Jalen Phillips, Bradley Chubb, Zach Steeler, then Javon Holland in the second half. You lose players, it's tough. Holland is a tone setter for us. That's a big loss. If we keep putting the work in, eventually the tide has to turn. As long as there's life left, we fight. And then some quick thoughts from Barry. Besides injuries, which hurt the Dolphins the most, has been off-season mistakes. From not signing a skilled enough nose tackle to botching the backup quarterback situation to making poor decisions at safety. But coaching personnel decision was costly on Sunday among them. Why was Cam Smith, not Jalen Ramsey, covering supremely talented Marvin Harrison Jr. late during the breakout game of receivers rookie season? Defensive coordinator Anthony Weaver assertively will address that during the next media availability on Thursday. On the day that Devontae Adams ran 10 times for 97 yards, why were the Dolphins giving the most critical and final carries of the game on their final 1st and 10 of the possession to Raheem Mostert, who ran 9 for 19? That is what the problem is. And that is why my mid-season review has Mike McDaniel and Chris Greer on it and no players. Because like Barry Jackson said at the beginning, the offseason mistakes, not signing a good enough nose tackle, botching the backup quarterback position, the safeties, Andrew Van Ginkel. Like, I'm not sitting here saying, you got it. Why didn't we re-sign Christian Wilkins and Robert Hunt? That is so dumb of them, blah, 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 blah. No, I fully expect them to be gone, especially for the huge contracts they signed. But big, fat, ugly, pimply butt, you bring in Jordan Poyer, which at the time was fun. He's washed. He's old. You should have brought in Justin Simmons. You should have paid him the money, brought him in. Andrew Van Ginkel. You bring in Shaq Barrett, knowing that he was probably contemplating retiring. You didn't even offer Andrew Van Ginkel a contract. If he was offered, his wife said if they were offered any type of contract, they would have stayed. They wanted to stay in Miami. You know that both of your pass rushers in Jalen Phillips and Bradley Chubb are coming off an injury, and you let Andrew Van Ginkel walk, and he is killing it in Minnesota. Dumb today. That is why I have been saying since week 4, Chris Green needs to be fired. Plain and simple. I like Chop Robinson. When they drafted him, I was like, hey, I don't hate it. I could see why they did it. He's, good raw talent. He definitely help us. It was a bad pick. It was the bad pick. Plain and simple. Because we need help in other areas, and he's not doing anything. The guys I wanted, Latu, and Verse, who are doing well with their prospective teams, went way ahead. We weren't going to get them. Chop, like I said, when we drafted him, I'm like, all right, I don't hate the pick. It's not one of my guys that I wanted to take, but I don't hate the pick. I think he was like third on my list, fourth on my list. It's a bad pick. Patrick Paul hasn't seen the field yet, but I'm indifferent about that. I think Malik Washington did fantastic in his kick returning. He constantly got positive net yardage. Mo Kamara can't see the field. Jalen Wright was a great pick, but they're just not using him, and I don't understand why. So out of that draft, they hit on 2 so far. But again, it's the first year. You won't know for another 2 years what you have and what you don't have. But I'm not willing to give Chris Grier those opportunities. I'm not willing to let him build off this team. The Miami Dolphins are sitting at 2-5, and they are the number 10 seed right now, with the Bengals ahead of them at 3-5, the Colts ahead of them at 4-4, the Chargers ahead at 4-3, the Ravens lost, which is crazy, sitting at 5-3. We'll see what happens with the Steelers if that moves things around. Broncos are sitting at 5-3. You know, our chance of getting that wild card spot, you have 3 teams right now that are 2 and 3 games ahead of us. And the Chargers, the Ravens, and the Broncos. It's slim to none. Slim to none. You have to go on a tear, an absolute tear. And that's what we're going to do right now. I'm going to show you. So this is what it looks like for the rest of the season. These are the games for the rest of the season. I'm really quickly going to give you my thoughts. If you want to know what this is, it's playoffpredictors.com. It's very easy. You can also go and make picks for each week. I just clicked on the Dolphins name, and it brings me to the rest of their schedule. So we're going to do the second half of the season. They are not beating Buffalo. No way, no how, no bananas. With our defense, I don't see them beating LA. You're in LA. You have to travel over to the West Coast. I don't see it. I think they'll beat the Raiders. I think they'll beat the Patriots. They are not beating the Green Bay Packers. I think they'll beat the Jets at home. They are not beating the Texans. They are not beating the 49ers. I will be shocked if they beat the Cleveland Browns, and they'll probably lose to the Jets, which means the Dolphins will finish the year at 3-4. Oh, I'm sorry. I've meant to do that. The Dolphins will finish the season at 5-12. I think they'll beat the Raiders and the Patriots, and I think they'll beat the Jets once. Outside of that, there's not a game I could see on the rest of the schedule that they'll win. They're not beating the Bills. No way, no how. Like I said, they ain't beating the Bills. This Rams team beat the Vikings. I understand that there was a bad call for a non-call face mask and yada stuff, but Puka's back. Cooper Kupp is back. I don't see how this defense stops them. Plain simple. Unless all of a sudden they wake it up. I don't see them beating the Green Bay Packers for the same reason. Again, I have now switched because if you look at the first half of the season, the defense kept us in these 3 games. In these 3 games, the defense kept us in it, and the offense was anemic. In this game, the offense was constantly helping us score, and the defense sucked in the second half. So now I'm at the situation where I'm like, oh, if you face a quarterback that is halfway good, you're going to struggle by city. Josh Allen, Stafford, Jordan Love, CJ Stroud, Brock Purdy. I wouldn't be surprised if this happens. So, at best case scenario, you got a 6-11, but I'm going to try to be more realistic. And Jameis Winston. This is a 5-12 team. Right now, this is a 5-12 team. If the defense wakes up, like if we beat Buffalo, say Miami somehow, it ain't happening. It ain't happening. Say Miami somehow, some way beats Buffalo. It ain't happening. Then I switch it to this. If Miami beats Buffalo somehow, some way, I think this could happen. The Dolphins go 9-8. And to me, that's still a failure. You're 2 games worse than you were last year. And this one's iffy. I actually might still keep this one. They go 8-9. They're not making the playoffs. Look, I even do the rest of the schedule, and they still don't even make the playoffs. They're not making the playoffs. But they're not beating Buffalo. And if they're not beating Buffalo, they're not beating LA. That's just the way it is right now, unfortunately. And I'll show you where we're at when it comes to the draft. Because at this point, we're sitting here like, well, what do? We, blah, blah, blah. We have the 9th overall pick. Now, we will face Cleveland. We will face LA. We will face the Jets twice. If we suck that much that we lose to Cleveland, we lose to LA, and we lose to the Jets twice, we will probably be picking top 5. We will probably be picking top 5. And you're getting you have a very good possibility at grabbing a good quarterback or a very good defensive lineman or we're going to be able to grab a good player. But as of right now, from what I saw on that field yesterday, the offense stepped it up. The defense fell flat. And for the other losses, the defense stepped it up and the offense had no quarterback. And now you got to go face Buffalo. And then you got to play the 49ers. And then you got to play the Texans. Then you got to play the Packers. It's like, what? So, comment below. Let me know what your thoughts are of the first half. So far, the first half is a complete failure, and someone needs to pay. And the thing that sucks, though, is no one's going to pay for it this season. No one is. No one's going to get fired till the end of the season. Ross is going to sit back and let it play out and see how the rest of the season goes. But no one's going to get fired. For me, if I'm the owner, I'm firing Chris Grier right now. Like Chris Grier, as soon as that game was over, he's meeting me in my office and I'm letting you go. You put that quality of players on the field. Like you thought Jordan Poyer, you thought, all of you thought Liam Eichenberg, Robert Jones, Jordan Poyer. I could raffle off the list. Oh, where's Odell? You thought these guys were the ones that were going to help us. You let go of Andrew Van Ginkel. You let go of Brandon Jones. You let go of Deshaun Elliott. That's the other thing I forgot to mention. Deshaun Elliott. Fantastic with the Steelers. But we're sitting right now needing a safety. Chris Garrett, we're going to let you go, bud. You had 9 years and you're just not getting it. We're going to let you go. That's what I would do. Comment below. Let me know what you guys would do. See you tomorrow. We're going to break down some film. We'll look at the good, the bad, and the ugly. Well, like usual, stay classy. My friends out.